Maybe I should whistle. Okay, I think it's time to get started. We have a very packed agenda, as you can see, if you can actually see that. So everybody, welcome to our April 22nd general meeting, and it is the celebration of we did it. So there's a big, huge chocolate, no, actually I think it's a vanilla cake covered with chocolate back there. Please go back there and get a big bite of it when you have a chance. And I'm going to go ahead and dive right into the meeting. Cynthia Tweed is going to come up and do some introductions. So come on, Cynthia.
Hello, everybody. It was with my great pleasure, go ahead, switch that I get to introduce my brand new underwriting account executive, Melissa Seibel.
Hello, KVMR. This is the heart of KVMR. I know that. I'm super excited to be a part of this family. I've been a part of this community for over 10 years now, which is probably just a little bit compared to some of you, but I'm looking forward to meeting you all and connecting. I've put a little information in all of your boxes at the office, at the new office, and I welcome conversations and relationships and looking forward to making KVMR more successful and raising a lot of underwriting money to keep moving us forward. So thank you all for the warm welcome. Cynthia's amazing, Julie's amazing, Jessica's amazing. Everyone's amazing. Thank you.
And as most of you probably know, we just started the 2015 KVMR broadcaster training class a couple weeks ago. Those folks were invited here tonight. If any of you are here, will you stand up? Yeah. And Greg Jewett walks in just in time. You want to come up? And I don't know, if Elisa, if you're here as well. Thank you.
Hello. We're almost finished. Do I need this? With the class. We've got one more class to go, and then we're going to have a mini training on Spinetron. Sandy Smith is going to come in, but that's optional because we did not schedule that. We have an incredibly good class this time. Actually, both of the last two classes have been exceptional, and we, like last time, we accepted 50%, which is really difficult thing to have to go through. So we're going to be looking for mentors. In fact, this week we're probably going to start talking with people about that. If you want to be a mentor, come up to Elisa or email Elisa or I and tell us that you want to do that. And get ready. We've got like 29 people coming your way. And welcome to the KVMR family. And it's going to be new building, new class. So, thanks.
Steve Baker.
Do you know how long it took me to learn how to ride that bicycle? Absolutely. It was hours and hours, and actually I think they ended up having to do trick photography. But that is the theme of our drive this May, starting on May 11th and running through the 17th and the 17th only. And we want to just to let you know that it's old dogs, new tricks, and we'll be asking you for some new tricks a little later on. But I think right now, why don't we just bring up I believe you're next if my color coding thing is right.
Yes, I did actually have to color code his script for him. That's not a joke. So, with the new building comes just so much new energy and so many great things going on here that we wanted to highlight kind of some of the things, and we're going to poll you guys also for your ideas on this, of some of what we're calling new tricks or things that have happened in the new station that were never possible in the old station. So last month on the 16th, we had Joe McHugh came to the Nevada Theater and did an old-time radio theater production. If you missed it, it was so cool. It was old-time radio with a cast of about 30 people, plus maybe another 10 or 15 people on sound effects, and we live streamed it and broadcasted it. It was such a cool event. Really looking forward to doing more of those. Coming up, and Julie's going to talk a little bit more about this later, but we have Jimmy Accardi and Sergeant Funky doing a benefit show at the Nevada Theater, actually right in the middle of our drive. So generating some excitement there, and that's going to be a live web-only video broadcast on the website. And then, of course, with Paul Emery production shows, we'll be able to do a lot more live broadcasts with those things as well. So those are some things that we've really highlighted, looking to do lots more of. So I'm going to turn it over to Edie.
Because we also have this cool new community room, which I'm sort of in charge of booking. So if anybody's interested in booking the community room for your nonprofit event or group gathering, it's not for commercial events or anything, talk to me. I'm managing that calendar and the bookings of all that. So the really cool thing is we've had a lot of really cool events. CJ and Do just did a really neat live broadcast out of there. We had the brother-son concert that Laurie Desjardins produced, and that was videoed and online too, and there was a whole live chat going on, and we got a lot of attention from across the country for that. So if any of you want to produce house concerts, we're not like going into the house concert business. Like after the brother-son event, I got tons of emails from random traveling bands saying, "Hey, I hear you're doing house concerts." I'm like, well, no, not exactly, but if you guys want to do house concerts, we have a protocol and we'll support you in that. So new tricks, really good new tricks. We're holding our current broadcaster training class in that room right now. And it's being rented out by groups. You wouldn't believe it's rented out like most days. So either for an in-house meeting or an out-of-house meeting. I just got a call from the Briar Patch, who also has a community room, and they are actually renting their room less because they have so many parking issues. So they're starting to like channel their community room traffic to us. So it's going to be busy, and plan ahead. Don't expect a last-minute booking because it might not happen. There you go.
First of all, I just wanted to mention, this is called the Pink section. It's the entertainment section of the San Francisco Sunday Chronicle. This is the letters section, and the headline on the letters section says, "Listen up, radio fans, tune in to ad-free community stations." Johnny Gallagher just got the nerve up to write this up. It talks about not only KVMR, but KPFA as well. And we already gave him a round of applause, but maybe we could do it again. This is the kind of promotion we love. It's a new trick. And we're going to be getting to some questions about some of the technical issues that we've been having in the new studios. But another new trick, okay? This is a really good one. Don't mention the CD players not working. Don't mention anything that's going wrong in the studio. Just move on. You know what? I checked with our listeners. They can't fix them. Okay? They don't need to know that there's a problem. Buzz needs to know. We need to know. And in fact, in the back of if you have a CD issue, there's a log there to put every single time something goes wrong with the CD players. Use it, because that's vital information for us to be able to, if we need to, get some new CD players, return them. I'll let Buzz talk more about that later. I just want to mention that. That can be one of your new tricks for the day. The building, as we wrote here, it says it represents a hub for arts and culture in Nevada City, and it's incredibly accessible. And point in fact, one of the first persons who will be on that stage at the Nevada Theater in a wheelchair is our former manager, Brian Terhorst, who will be giving the keynote address at the National Federation of Community Broadcasters Regional Summit. So he'll be back for that. And it's just symbolic of how accessible we are making the Nevada Theater, and as I said before, it's improving access for people. There's tons of events going on, tons of new tricks that we're pulling off, not only at the Nevada Theater, not only at our building, but lots of places these days. Last week, Gary Snyder was our guest in Studio A, and for the very first time, he was talking to. Doing an interview with the National Public Radio in Washington, D.C., talking to a host of a Weekend Edition there, and it was and Buzz had everything, all the technical details lined up in a row, and we actually showed National Public Radio how we could provide them with information like this and with interviews like this. So it's just still another wonderful thing. Right now, Capitol Public Radio is having a membership drive. You may or may not know that. But we've been talking with them, and after their drive concludes and before our drive starts, we're hoping to have Capitol Public Radio come up and take a look at some of our facilities, because it's very likely that we will be hosting one of their Insight shows, which is their top local show, maybe their only local show, at 9 a.m. weekdays, and it looks like this is going to work out. It'll be a win-win for us and win-win for them, and great exposure for us. For instance, we were mentioned across the country on NPR stations when they ran the Gary Snyder interview last Saturday morning. I think another thing that is just really neat is that on our website, we've now twice run streaming video. We're going to be running more of it coming up during the drive, and it's just showing that KVMR is expanding our reach, expanding our potential, and learning some new tricks. Yeah. During the drive that we're having, the membership drive, we got some great specials. We're going to go back and look back at an old friend of ours who passed away several years ago, Chamba Lane. We're going to have a special. You talk about an old dog. He was a great one, and we loved him, and he's going to be featured on one of our specials. We're also, the week of the drive, we will be celebrating on Friday during what normally is Jerry Ann's show. She's going to be out of town during the drive, although she'll be doing a drive show the Friday before the drive. Can you figure that one out? Okay, anyway. And in place of her show on Friday morning, we're going to have the 80th birthday party for our departed great friend, Utah Phillips. And one of the things that I think, right up there you can see that drawing that Kathy Dotson did. We're going to have copies or prints of that available as thank you gifts during the drive. And that's also, it's on display in our main office, the lobby. We're going to have, it looks like we're going to be able to, Vange Elston is going to come back and join us during the drive. We're going to also have a special with B.D. Caldwell and Dawn Fisher, sort of the Omni and Gatherum meets the Trans-Global Sound Service. Wes and Thomas are coming up with a great special, and we may even get them some extra time because they're going to cover Cowboys and Indians music like it's never been covered before. By the way, we're going to have one membership training that will be on Saturday, May 9th, just before the open house. Oh, open house. That's right. On Saturday, May 9th, as a way to kick off the membership drive, we're going to be holding another open house. Last time, one of the great things, one of our great new tricks was having over 700 people. Some of us think it was more like 1,000, visited KVMR. A lot of people gave up because the lines were so long to go through the building. This time we're going to welcome them back and hopefully have several hundred more folks come through. they'll also have an opportunity to become a KVMR member. Yeah, we're sneaky. And the membership training is going to be in the community room just before that event from 10 to 11:30 a.m. Again on Saturday, May 9th. And just a reminder that Jimmy Accardi and Sergeant Funky concert is Thursday, May 14th. Some new thank you gifts happening. Women's tie-dye t-shirts are going to be offered. The Utah Phillips thing that I just mentioned. And also, if you're doing a special program, we want you to very much submit what you're doing to me, unless we've talked about it, because I'm going to share it with Cynthia and obviously Adriana, and we want to get a lot of social media going with this drive. We're finding that is becoming a very, very great way to hit our listeners, and actually, and I should say beyond our listeners, folks who didn't even know that we were doing some of the great things that we're doing. So just please, by at least Tuesday, May 5th, the Cinco de Mayo, if you could send anything special that you're doing during your membership show, just to make sure that we know. I think that's about it. Thanks.
I'm going to butt in and ask my lovely assistant Julia to come up so that we can give away our first door prize. Oh, what?
Two 29313.
Going. Oh, Ed?
Yep.
Ed Gardner, you're going to the movies.
Did we want to ask One of the things that we wanted to also do was open it up to you folks to, if you can think of something that you would call a new KVMR trick. So, and we'll write them down and hopefully, possibly use them during the drive in some way, shape, and or form. You're all old tricks? Come on. Yell. You can yell them right now.
I think that because of social media, we're not just wasting our time staring at our phones, okay? We are networking and finding out what's going on. So I think even a Facebook membership drive like page might be cool, and encourage people to say why they became a member or why they love KVMR. So there's kind of something, or I just got this cool gift, something to where it's just a whole bunch of why not to say no to becoming a member to this station. That's all I got.
That's enough right there. There's one great idea. Back there? Which means we have to know about it a couple of days in advance. So be sure you do that well in advance of the drive. And I know Cynthia is, she loves getting emails from broadcasters letting her know what special features you're having on your show. One special feature, which I don't know if we have up there yet, but some guy named Tom Paxton is going to be on Laurie Desjardins' show this Friday at 11:30. So you didn't need social media for that one. Now you know. And he'll be performing as well. Yes? Okay? Anyone else? Any more suggestions? Is not? Free coffee? Was that what we heard? Or was somebody freaking out? I can't. Okay. Anyone else? This is going, it might be gone. Free puppies. That'll be good. They'll be in studio A and B for people to pick up. Jimmy Accardi wants a psychic hotline. Or was that a psychotic hotline, Jimmy? A theatric hotline? Psychiatric hotline. Now we're making some money.
I know a trick. I'm looking forward to our second stream and getting some youth programming going someday.
And Betsy. That was free condoms? Do we, with KVMR on them? And what would it say underneath KVMR? Get it on with KVMR. There we go. I knew we could get to the gutter eventually. Speaking of the gutter, here's Paul Emery. More rock, less talk on the music shows. All right. Anything else for our new tricks? Okay, Buzz has got one. By the way, tricks are for kids, I have once heard.
Okay, so actually some of the management has been kicking this around a little bit, but a radio station in Santa Cruz has this thing they call the hog call. KPIG Radio has this thing where just the people randomly call up and they get an extension and they leave a message. And the folks at the radio station edit it, and it's just contributions from listeners, and they put it on the air. It's a really cool thing, and our new phone system gives us the opportunity to do it. If we did that, what should we call it? We can't call it the hog call. That's already been taken. You know, Nevada County Speak sounds kind of lame. But if somebody's got an idea of what we could call something like that, and what would it be, is a way for listeners just to call up, leave a message, we edit it, and it winds up in the promo folder, and you can play them on the air. Because our listeners are going to have some cool things to say about us. What should we call it? Huh? The hot phone? I couldn't hear them all. Say it again. The weed call. Betsy. Instant recall. Phone pranks. I like that one. Phone friends. I heard that one. Anyway, think about it. Email any of us at the staff. I think that would be a cool new trick.
And I think now we will move on to the next portion of our evening's entertainment.
Which is Sean Dooley Miller. Are you in the house, Sean? Yes, he is.
Hello, everybody. I just want to give you a little update as far as the mute department goes. I know some of you guys are having trouble with the essence of the Dropbox, so I'm going to be putting together sort of a seminar as far as helping you guys figure out how to incorporate that in your show if you so choose to. And I didn't really have much other suggestions. Let me know if an album's coming your way or an album's coming out and you want to hear it. If you want to get a copy to take home, let me know. And then last but not least, whoever took the Van Morrison album, please come to the principal's office. Yeah, that's really all I had to say. But thanks for being here, guys.
Yeah, I guess you all know that Sean is our official music director now. So I just wanted to update you all on some events coming up. Most of them have already been mentioned. Jimmy Accardi's name is spelled wrong. Jimmy, I just wanted to let you know that we know that it was spelled wrong. So Sergeant Funky, which is Michael Young and his band, are going to warm up the Nevada Theater on May 14th, starting at 7:30, I think. 7:30, followed by Jimmy Accardi and his Hot Rock and Roll. This is a benefit for the Bridge Street Project, and it's not going to be broadcast live on the radio because we're doing a pledge drive, but membership drive. But it is going to be video streamed live. So people will be able to go to our website and they can do the video. But we're actually encouraging only people who live outside the Nevada City Grass Valley area to stream it live, because people who live within Nevada City Grass Valley area should come buy tickets. Yes. So thank you to Jimmy and Michael and your bands. So I'm going to skip over the next one for just a second. Ralph Henson is doing a house party on May 31st from noon to 2, and that's the Sierra 3 Jazz Trio, which is comprised of, tell us, Ralph. Bill Douglas, go ahead. John Gurdon, right. Was there a fourth one? Okay. It's a trio. Where's my calculator? Okay. So everybody, you're welcome to buy tickets and join. I think we're going to sell the tickets for $15. And because the community room only holds 34 people, it's going to be a very, very private house concert. For the first time, I think, in KVMR history, we're having a summer general meeting. Is that the first time in history, Edie?
It's definitely the first time we've had a
Fifth general meeting. So the reason for that is because we need board elections. I'm sure we're going to be doing all sorts of other exciting things at that meeting, so don't think it's just about board elections, but we really need to do board elections before September 30th because we have a number of board members who are going off. And Mary Ross is going to talk about that a little bit more. July 26th is the tentative date for our 37th birthday party. Thank you to Kim Rogers, who has volunteered to do that again. So we'll keep you posted on that in case the date changes. It'll probably be in the park. Again, there was some talk of doing a block party, but to me, the idea of doing a block party in the middle of the afternoon on July 26th sounds really hot. So the NFCB conference. Is anybody out there going to come to the NFCB conference? So if you plan to do that, please register. They're going to cut off the registration a week before. So it's on Thursday, May 21st. We're having tours in the building from 5 to 7. Right now we have 50 people registered, all the way from California, Oregon, and Washington, I believe. We have people signed up. Then from 6 to 9 p.m. over at the Haven, we're going to have a welcome reception, and we're going to have some entertainment. Molly Fisk, Paul Emery, and Jeff Wright, and some friends to be named. And Mary St. Mary is going to close out the evening with a rousing session for us. So then Friday all day, 9 to 5 at the Nevada Theater and in our building. There's going to be keynote speakers. Brian Terhorst is speaking. Michael Funk is speaking. And they're bringing in people from all different radio stations and various places to give sessions throughout the day on technical issues, development, changes in the radio environment, all that kind of good stuff. So the registration is $100. We do have scholarships available for $50. 3 people have signed up those. I think we have 8 of those left. So if you want to get a partial scholarship, send me an email. Did you have a question? Yeah, it's open to anybody who would like to come, yes. You know, obviously it's about the radio industry, community radio specifically, so I wouldn't expect, random strangers, but they're welcome as well. So the other thing I wanted to say, well, 2 more things. One is a couple of people have come to me and said, I've got some suggestions about things in the studio or technical issues or whatever, but I don't want to I don't want to embarrass Buzz, or Buzz doesn't embarrass. Neither do I, neither does Steve. We're all very open. We're very receptive. Whatever suggestions you have about anything, please come see me, go see Buzz, send us emails, leave us voicemails, whatever, please. You guys are the ones who are out there doing it. You're the ones that know what you need. If you need something, please let us know. The other thing is, one of my pet projects is to get our archive streaming on the website. I need somebody who knows software to help with that project. So basically it's installing the software on a server and then configuring it. Well, we have the software. Somebody's offered through the Pacifica Network to give us free software. But we need somebody who can set it up and configure it to work in our environment. Yes. Thank you, Sandy. So what? I'm so devious. So what this will do is allow us to put on our website 2 weeks worth of music shows. So every show that you do can be up on our website for 2 weeks. So if somebody misses your show, they can go to the website and listen to it. Isn't that fabulous? Yeah. Yes, a new trick. Yes, and talk shows can be up there theoretically forever because there are no copyright issues, but there's server storage issues. So most stations put them up for 60 days. So thank you, Sandy. I really appreciate it. So that's it for me. We're going to have some time for questions and answers at the end. And also just to let you know, I haven't sent out an email this month. I was waiting until we had this meeting, and then I'm going to recap everything here and send it out in an email. So in case you're not taking copious notes, then look forward to that email. So next up is Edie, who's going to tell you about volunteer opportunities.
Of which there are many. First of all, another new trick. Have you guys noticed the video cameras here? Okay, we had people show up to videotape the meeting tonight, and that was a suggestion that came out of the culture group meetings. I don't know where they're going to go yet or how you're going to view them, but we'll figure it out. Anyway, lots more video happening. It's cool in radio, Yeah. Yeah, something like that. This is like the best turnout I've seen for a meeting in a long time. I think word got out that there was going to be cake. We don't want to take that back across the street, so eat it up, y'all. Please sign in. Remember to sign in and update your contact info. That is how I know how to find you. So make sure that's all updated on there. All right. Outreach or volunteer opportunities. Well, May 11th, we have a membership drive coming up. Still need some phone volunteers, Still need some shift captains. Still need some people to bake us some cookies. Sign up sheets back there. I think you guys know the deal. Another suggestion that came out of the culture committee meetings was to form a maintenance crew that would be responsible for ongoing maintenance, small things in the building, maybe some, checking out the irrigation system, making sure that's working, sweeping the alleyway, changing light bulbs, installing bulletin board, little kind of handy person tasks. And so we have 4 people who've actually stepped up to be part of that maintenance crew: Chris Town, Richard Tews, Rich Wills, and Martin Webb. And I wouldn't mind finding a couple others. It's going to be a rotating 1 Monday a month kind of deal. Probably won't amount to more than an hour or 2 during a Monday. So if you're handy and free on Mondays and want to be a part of that team, that'd be awesome. So that'll be an ongoing thing. We want you to make sort of a longish term commitment, What else? We're looking for people. I don't know if you've noticed, if you've been in the community room lately, as of yesterday, Paul Barbieri has started putting up the wainscoting along the walls. It's only partly done right now. It'll be done very soon. Right, Paul? It looks fantastic. But we are going to need people to stain that wainscoting. And we have a very short window of opportunity, which I think begins on April 30th. So over that weekend and for the early part of the following week, it's a time when we don't have it rented out, when it's going to be empty. We can mess it up and smell it up and then be done. So if there are folks who want to come in, 2 or 3 people with paintbrushes, and we'll get you hooked up with stain and rags. Fantastic. See, a newbie. Tell me your name again? Okay, we'll talk after. Okay, one of our trainees. There we go. We needed a painter in the family. That's fantastic. Catherine. Okay, so we got a team. Excellent. See how easy this is? Let's see. I'm not sure exactly what. We will be needing some help with the Action Zone, Jimmy Accardi and Sergeant Funky on May 14th. So stay tuned for emails about what we'll need there. We'll probably need a little bit of help with the NFCB conference. I don't know what yet, but stay tuned for that. And then the big one that I want to talk about is outreach. We did an outreach training that was attended by, 30 people. And we have a really great outreach team. And but we always need more. We always need you folks to fill in on outreach as well. So I have some really great events coming up. We're gonna finally go back to the UC Davis Whole Earth Festival, which I don't have the date on my clipboard, but I do have it back there. So it's early May, the 10th. It's Mother's Day weekend. And if you've never been to that festival, it's really fun. There's crafts, there's music, there's informational booths, there's really good food, and it's cool. We are going to continue to try to do Briar Patch outreach during our membership drive. That's sort of our 2-pronged approach these days to membership drives. So I have a lot of shifts available to be out at the Briar Patch. The weather's going to be good, so do that. Nevada City Hot Summer Nights, we're going to be out there in July. And there's going to be a lot more coming up. So stay tuned to your emails. You're all getting the emails, right? Is there anybody here that's not getting the list emails? That's certified or certifiable. All right, good deal. The last thing I think I wanted to talk about is we're going to be, now that we're settled on our new building, we're going to be taking orders for business cards. So if you want to have business cards made up with your name, your contact info, etc., let me know. In fact, I'll send out a reminder email about that. So if you guys want business cards, how much Julie, do we know how much those cost? $40. Okay. A lot, like a big, long, $250. Okay. I think that's my list. We're good. I think we should do one more door prize before we move on. Julia? Get your tickets out. It's going to be good.
Two 29339.
John Mikey gets to dine at the lovely South Pine Cafe for free.
Just before Buzz comes up, Cynthia, could you put up that picture of... This is one of our broadcasters who couldn't be here tonight, and he sent us a nice picture of him. He's got sort of a new look. Oh, wait till you see it. It doesn't look like that. Okay. This is Richard Tews. He is in Lima, Peru, and he sent this picture to us, and he says that it is actually a picture of a Peruvian mafioso.
So next up is the man with all the answers, who's actually doing one of the answers right now. That would be Buzz.
Thank you, Julie, and thanks everybody for coming out. And I especially want to thank everybody for putting up with the CD players. I'm real sorry, and I sort of take responsibility because, well, quite honestly, they're the only game in town. I hate to say it. But the criteria was a pro deck that would work in the broadcast environment, and also it has to have a digital out, and it has to be able to start from the board. That pretty much narrowed it down, and that's what we got. I'm not real happy with it, as you aren't. I'll give you an update. The factory knows of our trials and tribulations. They claim that we're the only customer that's having this kind of problem. Interestingly enough, today, as I was talking to them again, they sent me a firmware update for those CD players. The CD player firmware update includes a panic eject feature. I'm absolutely, this is absolutely the honest to God's truth, okay? That firmware update is now loaded on all the CD players, and if a CD gets stuck, they're telling me if you push Shift Eject, it will eject the CD no matter what. I don't know if it works or not, but we'll try it. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, that's what they are. You're right. And actually, that was discussed, the part about them being tilted. And believe it or not, they actually seem to load better and eject better when they're sitting completely vertical. So I'm not really sure about that. I don't know. Yeah, Kim. Yeah, the left-hand button does say Shift. And I don't know. We'll see. What's that? That's what they're saying. Shift eject. That's all I got. Yeah. Rob. The counters will not count back. This is another question that I have asked Denon, and we all think it's pretty stupid, and they don't have an answer yet. I don't know if that's coming in the next firmware update. Maybe we're really their only customer, because, you know, quite honestly, there's not a lot of radio stations that play CDs like we do. So we may be somewhat of a unique thing for them. Yeah, yeah, the wrong counter counts backwards. We know that. Yeah, Paul. Oh, yeah, that is another thing, and I kind of thought everybody realized that, but if you burn a data CD, like if you're backing up files on your computer, you can pretty much burn them at any speed. If you're burning an audio CD, that is a Redbook audio CD to be played back on a CD player, you should always burn it at the slowest possible speed of your CD burner. And that's not just for these players, that's for anything, and it has to do with the error correction scheme of a data CD versus an audio CD. So always choose the slowest possible option on your computer if you're burning a CD for audio playback. I think everybody knew that, ain't it? Yeah, Betsy. The backwards counter is a small one. We're talking about reversing the small numbers with the big numbers. But yeah. Yeah, it's there. It's just everybody would like it to be the other way, and they don't have a way to do that. Yeah, just exactly. Just set the CD and let it take it. Let it do its thing. Yeah, they're not right. You know, there's something wrong. But yeah, okay, back here. The old ones are not dead, but there's really only 2.5 old ones, and we need 6. So, you know, the old ones, just so you know, they quit making them in 2001. For the longest time, we were buying ones on eBay and stealing parts out of one to fix another one and other things like that. But the Marantzas really are, it's probably not an option. I mean, we might be able to put one back in each studio for a little while until they go, but there's really no parts available for them anymore. Yeah. Okay, this is the first I've heard of that, but it's an adjustment that can be made in the software, and I'll take a look at it. Thank you. And that's another thing. Little things like this, and I just want to reiterate what Steve said. You're not going to offend me one little bit if you give me a suggestion or criticize something in the studio, because that's how this place gets better, okay? Send an email to engineer@kvmr.org and let me know about it. That's really important. Yeah, Richard. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, sure. That would be good. I mean, really what's better, and I hate to say this, but I'm not a paper person. I don't do well with paper. One email to engineer@kvmr.org does a lot better, but I will find a forum for that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's okay, you know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Winfield, you've been holding up your hand back there a long time. Yeah. Well, we've I don't know if you heard earlier in that, we have been questioning that on that. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jerry Ann. The light for on air is in process, and we have that. The light for the phone, we don't know yet because it doesn't seem to be something that's available right now. It's probably a software change, from what I can tell. A different phone? Well, that's what she just asked. It doesn't seem to be in the software right now. And we're not going to get a different phone system because that means a different mixing console, unless you don't want to put people on the air. So we're kind of trapped in that aspect. But anyway, there's a whole full-on question and answer session at the end. We can probably get into more, but I don't want to take up too much more time. I hate to be hammering on you about this, but I still hear IDs that are not legal. Can we get one out of everybody? All right. I know everybody knows how to do it. The FCC says as close as possible to the top of the hour in accordance with program material. So if you're going into BBC News and it's going to start at 8:01, the time to do the ID is 8 o'clock during that instrumental you're playing to go into BBC News. And when you take over a show, if you have an intro song, what I hear is a lot of people will play their intro and then they'll go in and do the ID and do the underwriting announcements. Drop in the ID at the top of the hour and give your underwriting announcements after that. Try and get it as close as possible to the top of the hour. If you're playing a long song, try not to play an 8-minute song and start at 4 minutes before the hour and end at 4 minutes after. But if you have to, it's okay to do an ID before or after if that's what you've got. Just try and get it as close as you can to the top of the hour. There have been fines for this. And, I mean, it can be kind of serious. They say people are getting fines for like $1,000 per instance. So if you blow the top of an hour ID for 2 stations, that's $2,000. And if your name's on the log, that's $2,000 from your pocket. That's the way the FCC works, okay? So be conscious of that, all right? It's serious. And the translator IDs are at 8 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and 4 o'clock. And the translator is a little bit unique in that the 1 o'clock in the afternoon ID legally absolutely has to be between 5 minutes to 1 and 5 minutes after 1. Okay? No in accordance with program material, no nothing. If you got a long song, you got to drop the audio down and give the translator ID around that 1 o'clock mark, because that's the rule for a translator. So it's important. Everybody's getting better, but I still hear a lot of things that are not good. So, I've had, yeah, real quick.
Can you clarify if there should be Placerville at the end of that legal ID?
You don't have to say Placerville at the end of the legal ID if you don't want to. We like to because a lot of people don't know where Camino is, all right? But legally, it's call letters, city of license. KVMR FM, Nevada City, KCPC, Camino. That's all you really got to say. Because the city of license for that 88.3 signal is Camino. Okay, so we've had a few of you saw that email. I did a little train the trainer sessions, kind of in-depth operation of the board, the playback of the digital library through Q and the telephone systems. And we've got a few folks here who have more in-depth knowledge on the new system. And also tomorrow afternoon, for anyone who's interested, Dennis Brunemeyer will be offering some training in the Studio A right now on how to set a profile in the Axia board and how to adjust an input in the Axia board. This new board has got some fantastic options to it, and there are situations where you might want to take advantage of some of the new things it does. So feel free to join us tomorrow at 5 o'clock if you would like some more tutoring, if you will, on the Axia board. And also, I'll be sending out an email with the folks that did my little training class, and these people have a rather in-depth knowledge of lots of different things, including playing songs from the digital library and switching inputs on the board and things like that, feel free to talk to any of them and organize it at your convenience. And as always, you can ask me if I happen to be around. I'll be glad to give you input on how certain things work, because there's a lot of new stuff and a lot of new really cool things you can do in the studio. We've really only tapped the surface. Yeah, Jerry Ann? Well, basically, what the official emergency station means is our EAS system can be triggered, and it's, I don't know, it's kind of a more or less automatic, although we are manned 24/7. If you get a phone call, basically, it's your duty to relay that information. And normally that comes from Ubinet, or it may come, if there is a national emergency or something that comes from the EAS hierarchy, it will interrupt the programming. That's another thing that is going to change. That's going to be a new trick. We're going to have a means for you to actually see those messages and edit them. It comes on a web page. I don't have it all set up yet. Right now it's automatic, but it will be something that you'll be able to relay. And it comes on a web page from a device in the back room that basically functions as a web server. But for now, do what you did before as far as looking up things. Again, our main source of news is Ubinet, and Steve can probably maybe elaborate that out a little bit more. But basically, it's just to act as a relay point for things that are happening in the county. Well, no, that only lasted for 2 days. There's 6 lines in the studio, just like always. That's about it, I guess. That was my status update, and I wanted to pass this along. Okay. People asked me to show a diagram. This is how we tried to build our studios. It didn't really quite work out, but those of you who are electrically inclined can probably enjoy this. The really important thing is the smoke, okay? There's smoke on there, and the really important thing is the smoke. Smoke is very, very important to all electronic devices. I know this because they all operate on smoke, and I've seen it, because as soon as the smoke leaves, the device doesn't work anymore. Therefore, I know they all operate on smoke.
Hi, everybody. I am Dr. Spinatron. I'm Sandy Smith. And you're probably not going to be real happy about this, but it's coming, so we're going to let you know ahead of time. Spinatron updates. What's happening, why it's happening, and when. And it's actually why, what, and when. Go ahead. All right. Spinatron will soon become part of every show. KVMR will be requiring every show that plays music to report Spinatron playlists within 72 hours of the end of your show. Okay? It's good for the listeners. We tell them when we do our shows, Spinatron list, here's how you get to it. You can see what we're playing, see whatever somebody else is playing. It's good for you because your listeners have immediate access out in the future as to what you did in the past, or can see now what you're doing in the future if you plan your show ahead of time and put your list up. Therefore, it's good for your show. If it's good for those 3 things, it's good for KVMR. Simple. And we've already started to make things easier. Could I have the next slide, please? We made playlist entry simpler. Playlist entry has been pared down to the absolute minimums. Okay, I have been working with Sound Exchange people and NPR Digital Services people, found out exactly what is required. Funnily enough, during a Spinatron reporting period, there's a different set of requirements than when you're not reporting. The simplest ones are actually the reporting period ones. So that's what we've adopted. There's no more release type. You don't have to tell it whether it's an album or a CD or whatever. No more year. One of the big bugaboos for everybody. Label is required. Absolute requirement. Has to be done for Spinatron reporting period. But I got a nice little answer. If you tried and you can't find the label, because some people in this room play some stuff that is, they didn't even print on the labels back then. Okay? Use the artist's name. The attempt is to get the artist the money. Okay? Now, whether they do a good job in that or not, that's not my say. Okay, so if the label's missing, use the label. And there'll be updates to the manual and all that stuff. The really big thing that's coming is you're going to be able to import your playlists. I've just completed the documentation, and Julie and Steve have gone through it. I've got to make a couple of corrections for them, wording-wise, and I already have a set of broadcasters that are willing to test. And once they've fleshed it out for me, it'll be released to everybody. The requirement, though, is going to be that I have to audit what you're going to input first before it gets to the Spinatron, because you can really mess up the database. Could I have the next slide? I'll move this along. This is what your new Spinatron entry screen looks like. And I can't read sideways, so those things with the slash through them are the things we got rid of. 2-station required fields. We need to know what library you got it from. The library is not the genre. The library is where somebody like Dennis, and I'm picking on Dennis for a reason, can go to find the music that you played. Is it in jazz? Is it in blues? I can think of several artists that, you know, they're crossover artists. Just about everybody is now, I guess. So they may have stuff in all kinds of places. Library is for our use. Where can a broadcaster find what you played? Okay? It is required. Yes? Private. Not a problem. Okay? And, I'm sorry? Digital library. Yep. We need to talk about that too. And the other thing that is required is new. Little checkbox, new. Check it if you're playing new music. Now, if you look at those fields, you know everything except for label, most likely. You know what song you played, you know who did it, you know what disc it came from, you know where it came from, you know whether it's new or not. Mr. Dooley, where are you? Actually, I've got a simple, and if Sean will buy into this, Sean didn't get back to me early enough today. Sean, Steve, and I were talking about it. We would like to make new music, anything that is in that section between the two studio doors. If it's in there, it's new. Is that good for you? And then Greg always gets new stuff. Well, let me get an answer from Sean first. Is the stuff going to actually stay in that center section for 6 months? Okay. There it is. Greg, you had something? Right. Yeah, no, it does. So that's why I asked Sean for the clarification. Yes? You're doing them personally yourself? Private. Well, there would be no way for Sean to be able to get back to a label on it. The purpose of new is for Sean to be able to maybe one day pull a listing from Spinatron that says these are the new airplays in the past, whatever. I'm sorry? Yeah, I would think. Right, label is a tag field within the digital library, so it's always there. You can't get something into the digital library without it. Right? Yeah, okay. So anyway, the Spinatron screen has already been changed. Steve, what was our Spinatron dates? Okay, we haven't determined them yet. They're going to be after the membership drive, though. For the new trainees that are here, welcome. Congratulations on attending the class. There is a volunteer training class set up for May 5th for Spinatron. That's all we're going to be covering. I'll answer any other questions you might have as well. I strongly encourage you to come to it. We do have training guides. Everybody's been through them here. You can learn on your own, but if you want to learn a little quicker and feel a little more comfortable, we are going to have a training class at the community room. Okay, have the next one. There we go. Imports. If you can create a comma-separated value file, and that's a mouthful, what it means is those little fields are all separated by commas, and there are multiple ways to create them. This is the new documentation I've created. You can use Word. You can use a simple notepad document. Excel works great, or any of the variants of that. I can show you how to put in a 4-hour shows playlist in 5 minutes. 5 minutes, that's how I do mine. And you can too. Yes, sir? iTunes, I have to make some adjustments to it for iTunes, but I'm be happy to have you as one of the testers along with Edie. I'm sorry? Send me an email. I will be looking for testers specifically for the iTunes. iTunes does something a little weird with the data, and it requires a separate little adjustment to it. But once it's in a comma-separated file, it's a piece of cake. Everything works the same. Yes? Time and date of? Workshop. 6 p.m., May 5th, Tuesday. Yes? If you don't know the label, use the artist's name. See, Paul's one of those people that plays that stuff that they didn't even print back on them then. Okay. Yes. Next one. Oh, and by the way, the training will be rolled out for the imports to my test group by Wednesday, and it should take no longer than a week to get through that. These are the 2 new guides that have been created. One for the import itself, and then I get emails from people asking me how to do this, or I help them correct something. I've started creating a document called Common Issues, things that I've found in auditing your playlist. You don't know it yet, but I've been auditing them for the past several reporting periods. You'll be getting an email shortly, just a nice one to explain what I found. Okay, hold on just a minute. And also, questions that you have asked, I've tried to answer. So now I'm going to start adding to this document. If you've got a question, no matter whether you think it's been answered or not or what, there's no question that is insignificant. So if you've got questions, ask, and I'll be happy to answer them. Yes? No. If they can't, did they come from your library? Are they in your physical possession? Oh. Okay, if you don't have the label, pop that little guy into Google and search for the label. The library? Then that would be private. It's coming from you. If the station has it and you got it from the station, then it's the station's. If you know that, yes. The whole idea behind the library is help the next broadcaster find where you got it so they can play it too. Yes? If you put it into a CD player, you're going to get track length. On our CD players, you get the track length. Buzz, help me out here, Buzz. I don't know of anyone that doesn't get it. Okay. I want to see that if it exists. Yeah. Report that as a bug back to them. Yes. Right, I use allmusic.com as my first source to inquire about. Then I start looking at things like Amazon, Reverb Nation, CD Baby, the artist's website. You know, I'll try 4 or 5 places first before I give up. Anybody else? If you've got questions, okay. We have to report Spinatron, period, anyway. So it would be a dual effort, I think. We have to at least report our 2 weeks every quarter. That's a requirement. They have a link to our Spinatron entry. There might be a way to, I'd have to talk with the people who are working on the web, but there may be a way that we can minimize that through the API so they can get like right to it quicker. I don't know. If anybody has any questions on Spinatron, I'll be happy to answer them. Send me an email, Sandy Smith at KVMR, and welcome to the future.
So now we're going to do something that requires some audience participation. But it looks like first the lovely Julia is going to do another prize.
Two 29303.
Miss Laura Miller, you're the winner of a duo, as it were, of vintage KVMR bumper stickers.
So these 4 lovely ladies have put together a very special KVMR tune for us. We have the lyrics, and we invite you all to sing along.
Yeah. So we need to move that over. So who's me? You go. Well, I'm Connie Cole. I do the Wednesday Music Magazine alternating with Jenny Michaels.
Yay.
And Diane McIntyre.
And April Miranda.
Susan Shriver.
and we've been getting together and just playing music and having fun. And one night Diane says, hey, let's do a blues song about KVMR. And so we just started throwing out all these lyrics, and she wrote it down, and she came up with this whole thing, and we tweaked it a little, and we just had fun with it, so we want to share it with you.
And we want to break up the meeting. Woohoo! Okay.
Feel free to sing along, too. It's real cheese. KVMR cheese.
If today you ain't feeling so right, whether it's the morning or the middle of the night, if you like it heavy or you like it light, lift yourself high, you don't have to go far, you just need the sound of KVMR.
Bubbles all around you, house blend will fill your cup and
friends show up. No better way to start your day, moving and a grooving the KVMR way. Got no sweetheart, got no friend. Just don't you worry, 'cause in the end you've got a family which you can depend. Get out of your house, get into your car, listen to the sound of KVMR. Kissing your sweetie under the full moonlight, red-eyed tunes sounding so right, thinking you're getting lucky, well you know that you might. Turn your dial to the west too far and groove with the tunes of KVMR. On a crazy, dark and stormy night, twisting rolls will give you a fright. Alone in the dark night, Bruce, take high flight. All through the night, don't go to the bar. Stay home and party with KVMR. Okay, everybody. If today you ain't feeling so right, whether it's the morning or the middle of the night, if you like it heavy or you like it light, to get yourself high, you don't have to go far. You just need the sound of KVMR. To get yourself high, you don't need to go far. You just need the sound of KVMR. Woo! Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. All right. So we're going to record that for our next membership drive. What do you think? All right.
So that's a very hard act to follow, but Mary Ross is going to come up and give us some very exciting news. You have to sing it, yeah. Maybe you could rap it.
I'm not going to rap it. Somebody had a crazy idea that I should get here and rap. I don't. No, I'm even going to try to sing after these guys. No, that was great. That was amazing. So, yes, I'm Mary Ross. I'm the president of the KVMR Board of Directors. Welcome to all the new folks here today. I happened to walk by while the new broadcaster training was going on. Yeah, everybody's been so loud. I'm going to just whisper. And it was so great to see a full house and see new faces here. So, very excited. I have some boring business to take care of, but first, I just have to, like the cake says, we did it. And yeah. So I want to just talk a bit about that. Who are we? Who are the we who did it? Well, it's everybody in this room. It's everybody who's ever been on the air at KVMR. It's everybody who's ever called in to give KVR money. It's everybody who's ever listened to the station, because that is what has been going on for 36, 7 years. That has gotten KVMR to the place where it deserves that home. And it's amazing. And we are everybody, and I'm grateful. And that's all well and good that we all did it, but there are a few people who I have to call out in particular. So that's what I want to do. I want to recognize people who deserve some extra special recognition for getting that building to where it is and getting the studios where they are, and it's just been, quite a ride. So way back when we all started talking about a building, not knowing where it was going to be, what it was going to look like, there was a new building technical committee, and these folks started meeting 6, 7, I don't know how many years ago. John Adams, Dennis Brunemeyer, David Levin, and then later Dave Barnett joined that group, and they worked tirelessly for many, many months back at the beginning and continuing on and designing those studios. For all the stuck CD players and whatever, it was a lot of vision that went into the design of those studios, and we are all extremely grateful. The role that Dennis and John played in this project has just been legendary. John in particular served many times as a facilitator. Yay! Master of conflict resolution. I never want to hear the word windows again. John and Dennis trained many, some, most of you to use the old Studio B so that you could use the new studios. I am humbled in the presence of these guys. Another committee that worked early on, seeking out options to buy or to build, what to do, developing strategy for what came to be our collaboration with the theater, ultimately making the recommendations to the board that we take this bold, audacious project on, was our aptly yet boringly named building committee. Michael Young, Larry Hilberg, John Hensley, and Don Cumin were at the heart of that committee for a long, long time. It eventually was reformed as the Bridge Committee, and people from the theater joined in. Barbara Jica from our board joined in. And that committee is still working as we finish paying the contractor and working out various things. One of the things that the building committee talked about early on was how could KVMR management oversee a major construction project at the same time that it needed to be focused on managing the day-to-day operations of the station. The answer clearly was that KVR management could not. Well, at the first City Planning Commission meeting, one of KVMR's neighbors showed up. And she showed up to passionately and eloquently give her support for this project. It turned out that she also happened to be a licensed building contractor and someone with experience in representing property owners in major construction projects. We quite honestly could not have done this project without Diane Mack. Diane, you're my hero, and when the last bill gets paid to the contractor, the champagne is on me. We are going to party. Yes, we've paid a lot of contractor bills, but we would have paid a lot more if not for generous donations from skilled professionals in the KVMR family. Now we get a painter. We could have used you, man. No, we had skilled people in the KVMR community that stepped up and made this project happen at a lot less cost than it would have otherwise. Eric Rice and his crews. Eric and his crews spent hours installing the low voltage wiring in the building. Rob Katz and Paul Barbieri made their mark with their fine carpentry skills. And many of you may be aware, but the wainscoting that's going up in the community room right now is wood that was milled from the old timbers that came out of the sheds that were removed to build the building. They were these massive 10, 12-inch long, or 12-inch around, like 15 feet long timbers. And we had them milled thanks to somebody with a portable mill who Paul hooked us up with and made those boards. So I'm very excited about the reuse of that material. Helping out with the cable running were Jim Wilson and Russ Roy. Russ, usually an outlaw, knows when to leave town. So yeah, somehow this outlaw knew when to come to town, so it was very timely. Eric Flaherty always wanted to pitch in when needed, on air and off, showed his skill with a soldering iron and a ladder. Lynn Hines helped with the carpentry and in several other areas as well. How do you move 40,000 CDs? Just ask Ralph Henson. Yay, Ralph. With the help of John Stabil and the crew that Ralph put together, that move was orchestrated and was just a beautiful thing to watch that wagon going back and forth across Spring Street. On the morning of the move, I dropped by early on my way to work, this pesky day job that kept me from being there moving boxes, to drop off some cookies for the volunteers. I didn't even bake them, I bought them. But as I wandered through the empty building that morning, I just was looking through and I saw taped up on the walls at various places around the building these color-coded diagrams that showed where all the furniture was supposed to go. And it gave me this reassurance knowing that Erica Randall had orchestrated this whole thing. And I'm sorry Erica and Richard aren't here because they made a great team, led a great team in planning that. And the movers knew exactly where to put everything, and it was this beautiful picture of organization. So, lots and lots of folks help with the move, and I apologize that I don't have the names of every single person who did, but Brian Lee was one of them. Perry Blake, who is the only person on this whole list who I'm talking about who I don't know. Is Perry Blake here? Oh, no wonder I don't know him. Anyway. He's awesome. I was told he was awesome, and he did great work, and I want to meet him someday. And Johnny Gallagher proved that who needs a Stairmaster and barbells when you have furniture to move up and down the stairs. So great work for them. Then, within days of moving in, the building truly came to life when Sandy Brown and her crew started hanging art, framing, hanging, generally just brightening the place up. And then she got Dave in on the job with his power tools, and the musical instruments went up, and people donated the instruments. And so Sandy and Dave, other people who aren't here tonight, but I thank them very much for that work. Polly Castro, our geek-in-chief, and Leah Farrell, our cleaning goddess, stepped up in their usual way, but with stepping it up a few extra notches to get all the computers hooked up and the floors swept and vacuumed and re-vacuumed and so on. And then, when it was time to show the building off to our adoring fans, Connie Cole, thanks to weeks and weeks of preparation, had this team of trained, expert, volunteer broadcaster docents who showed the building off to crowds that we couldn't keep up with, so we have to do it all over again, so she's not done. So, thank you. There's one name I mentioned in there early on that I have to name again. Michael Young, as my predecessor in the role of board president, a member of the building committee, the bridge committee, the Bridge Street Trust Board of Trustees, the Capital Campaign Committee, the Launch Committee, and master fundraiser for this project, has been and continues to be a tireless champion for the building project. And it's been quite a ride. Thank you, Michael, for everything. I think for the rest of my life, when the phone rings at 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning, I will think of Michael. It was, okay. Then there's the amazing KVMR staff. I've already sung Buzz's praises, which I can't sing enough. Julie, thank you so much for your leadership during this time. Edie, your cat herding abilities were in fine form. Steve, Cynthia, Paul, Jessica, Sean, thank you for your ability to go with the flow, which a lot was needed. Melissa, welcome. You missed all the fun. Good timing on your part. Finally, to everybody else who boxed things up, pulled the wagon across the street, made runs to the dump, countless things. This is a project that truly embodies the "it takes a village" spirit, and I just hope that everybody is as proud of that building and that space as I am, because it's a beautiful thing. And like I said, it's what KVMR deserves, and I'm glad that KVMR has that space. So thank you to everyone. Okay. Now, on to more mundane matters. The capital campaign. We're still raising money for this building, as I'm sure most of you are well aware. We had a really awesome couple of weeks after the building. We raised $300,000 in about the first 3 or 4 weeks after we moved in. And it was a few large gifts from people who had been approached early on in the campaign and sort of took a wait-and-see attitude about it. Like, are they really going to pull this off? And once they saw that we had really pulled it off, they signed their checks, and it was extremely gratifying. And I'm sure there are more people like that out there. And so it's important that we keep that message alive, that we're continuing to seek support for the building. I will say what I have been saying up here every few months for the last couple of years. If you know anyone who you think would like to make a contribution to the building fund, to name one of the unnamed rooms, let me know, let Julie know, let Michael know, or Cynthia, and we will follow them up. You don't necessarily need to ask for money if that's something you're not comfortable with, but we'd like you to introduce us to people who you think might be interested in having their name on a room, or not, making an anonymous gift. That's also quite welcome. The general manager search. When I spoke last time about the general manager position, I don't even think we'd advertised it. We did advertise it. The advertisement closed last Friday. And so that process is continuing. I had said early on that I thought we would have a general manager appointed, hired by June or July. I'd really like to do that earlier because I'd like to have a new general manager in place before the NFCB meeting. So more to come on that. And then finally, I want to introduce Sharon Connor, who's a member of the board, who's chairing our board development committee. And one of the main responsibilities of the board development committee is to recruit new board members. So I'll let her speak about that. Thanks.
So what can I say? What better time is there to become a board member of KVMR? We are going to be having 5 openings coming at the end of September. We're losing 3 board members. Of course, we're going to lose our wonderful president. We're going to lose Larry Hilberg, and we're losing Susan Prince. And we have 2 open slots. So by the time we arrive at new board members, there will be 3 volunteer elected positions and 2 board elected positions. So I would love to hear from any of you who either have an interest in being on the board. What a great time to join the board of KVMR. Or if you know people you think would be fabulous board members, please give me a call. I'll help. I'll follow up with anyone that you think might be interested in being a board member. So you can reach me at either Sharon Connor at kvmr.org or Sharon Connor at 23@gmail.com. And I will send something out to all of the broadcasters, kind of soliciting your input and support. And I think we ought to have at least 24 people vying for 5 seats, don't you? I mean, this is a great place and a great board to be a part of. So I'm really hoping that we have are able to really be very choosy about our next board members and filling the board. I think that's all I have to say. Thank you.
I just want to add that you can also send email on any subject in which you want to communicate with the board to theboard@kvmr.org. So that's easy to remember. And if it's something for Sharon, I'll make sure Sharon gets it, or any other board member. That's it. Thanks.
I'm going to butt in. How about a big thank you and a round of applause for Mary Ross? KVMR has the best volunteers in the world, y'all.
So last but not least, I want to invite up John Tabor, who wants to give us an update on the Celtic Festival.
October is closer than you think. The Celtic Festival is up and running. It's just about fully booked. We have a brand new website this year. If you haven't seen it, it is kvmrcelticfestival.org. You can get to it. There's a link on the new website. So it kind of fits in with that and the new building. And I was supposed to be at the broadcasters class last night, and I apologize. Circumstances beyond my control kept me away. But it's a great opportunity to get some of your volunteer hours in, and a fun one at that. So I encourage everybody to go and use their social media to share the KVMR Celtic Festival's website. The art for this year was done by our very own Kim Rogers. I think it's, thank you, Kim, for that. So go check it out. Tickets are on sale. Advance early bird tickets are on sale until the 1st of June. So that's a good way to save a couple of bucks. Regular advance sale tickets will go on sale the 1st of June right up to showtime, which is, we start off on October 2nd, Friday night, with a Kaylee, which is a great deal of fun. And we will continue through Saturday and Sunday with our 8 stages of programming to bring you the biggest benefit that we do for KVMR all year long. It's one of the joys of my life to be able to put that all together. So take a look at that. It's one of the wonderful things that KVMR does every year. It is a world-renowned festival. We all know, or most of us know, that Alistair Fraser makes his living traveling the world to Celtic and Scottish-themed events. And he has told me personally that of all the ones he goes to, the high ground is the KVMR Celtic Festival. And that's because of the volunteers we have and the station that KVMR is. So I hope to see you all out at the Nevada County Fairgrounds in October. Thanks.
Two in a row.
Two 29340.
Let us know when you'll be holding court at Mateo's, and we'll all come and join you.
Two 29290.
Johnny G's going to the movies.
So we're just about to wrap it up here. We're going to have a question and answer session. That was something that people requested that we do that. But first, Dennis Brunemeyer has a quick word for the good of the order.
I just want to remind all of you that I'm going to offer that training tomorrow afternoon around 5 o'clock. Now, what we're going to talk about is how to change a show profile and how to change a source profile. If you don't know how to do those, you need to learn, because you may walk into that studio and find everything all scattered about on the terms of where the players are, where the turntables are, where they aren't, and you wanted them. You need to know how to do this. It is not the responsibility of a broadcaster leaving the board to set it up for you. You need to know how to create your own profile, to how to select the profile that you want to use. So I strongly suggest, if you don't know how to do that, show up tomorrow at 5, Studio A. Hey.
Okay, so we're open for questions, and it looks like Buzz here has a portable mic.
Yeah, I
So
figured
anybody who has
the
a
last time
question-
we had question and answer, sometimes we couldn't hear the question. So raise your hand, I'll try and chase you down.
Wow, we answered all the questions before there was a question. It's amazing.
All right.
There's one.
Why do we have to go in there and change it if we're not informed that they've been changed? Why are they getting changed?
Because I can answer that one actually. The Axia board has 16 available channels, okay? We have more than 16 possible inputs. Sometimes people prefer CD players and turntables. Sometimes people play from the digital library. Sometimes you need to get rid of, let's say, BBC because we're going to a live remote. There's many reasons that you might need to change the input on the board. And for some people, it's just easier if the microphones are in a certain place and not in another place. It's new technology. The versatility is there. Let's take advantage of it.
Why can't people change the board back to a generic place when they're finished with their show?
That's real easy, and that's something that Dennis will tell you. And that is like 3 buttons, so anybody can do it. But the trick is, as people evolve and start doing different things with the radio station, you're going to want to change and you're going to want to do things. And quite honestly, we have the versatility of having many, many, many sources. A lot of radio stations have 2 computers, 2 microphones, and that's it. And that's what they do. They load their discs into the computers, and that's it. We've got this versatility, and now we've got the ability to take advantage of it, and that's why. Yeah, Richard.
This business of putting it back to the generic setting, can we have that documented and posted in a prominent place in the broadcast studio so that those of us who don't come in every day and can't remember it can go look it up?
Yeah, no problem. I guess the trouble would be defining generic, because I'm really not sure what it is. The default? Okay, all right, that's easy. Is that it?
One has to imagine the environment where we're going to have 2 studios and we're going to be flip-flopping between studios, so you won't be in the panic of trying to switch from one profile to another while somebody's trying to do a quality job of finishing a show and somebody's trying to do a quality job of opening a show. You'll have the ability to come in 15 minutes early, 20 minutes early, set up the board, make sure everything's right for you, and not have this 60-second shuffle where people are trying to get out and trying to get in. You see Brian Lee come in with his computer and boxes of stuff, and we're DJ Vision, and people bring in a lot of stuff. So we can flip-flop the studios, and that's why we've done that. Now, I don't use turntables, but you don't want me to take 4 sliders away from the digital music that I use, so I don't use that profile. Some people want digital music, some people want CDs, somebody do talk shows, somebody has 5 microphones because they need. I haven't ever had 5 guests in the studio at 4 o'clock in the morning. So I don't need those allocated to that. I can actually play turntables and digital and CDs. And by the way, you can put a USB in the CD drives, and those do work fine. Nobody's told me if a USB is getting stuck. If you make your own mixes at home to play on CD anyway, you might as well just put them on a USB, and it won't get stuck. You can play right off of that. And then you're one step away from playing in the digital library, which has the label recorded in the library, which has the time recorded in the library, which has many of those already in Spinitron. There's a lot of things that are beneficial in these new studios, and we're not quite there yet. We're going to open up Studio A as soon as we get everything done, like on-air lights, recorders.
The short answer to the question about default show profiles is there really isn't a default show profile for most people. We did create one called default show profile, which should be suitable for about 90% of the broadcasters. But the problem is that when I leave the studio, I have no idea in 2 hours who's going to be using that studio again. I don't know what their desired profile is. So there is no, even though it's called default show profile, it's really the most generic profile. But there are 3 others in there now, or 2 others right now, and there'll be 3 or 4 possible combinations. And there's no way to know what the next broadcaster needs. So it's really your responsibility when you go in to make sure it's what you need for your show.
Johnny had one over here.
Yeah, my question is, what's the score of the Giant Dodger game? Anybody know that? No? No one? Okay. All right, that's what we're, yeah.
And there's a Dodger fan in the house.
Anybody else? Any other questions?
Okay, thank you everybody for being here.
Are we done, really? Hey, if you guys could help by packing up chairs, taking your food home and your containers and all that. And there's a few people here who still need their key fobs. In about 10 minutes, follow me over to the other building and I can hook you up.